And so why prompt
Design.
design?
Correct. To use the term engineer, that could be scary. In other words, it's like, hey, I want you to go ahead and start learning how to program. Well, wait a second, I'm not a programmer. How can I even be an engineer, right? I don't even know if I want to even go in that direction. But designer, I think, is a more inclusive type term that's going to allow more people to find it approachable. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and design a prompt as opposed to engineer a prompt. One sounds extremely technical. The other one sounds like more of a, an art and a science.
Right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are and wherever you're watching from. My name is Matt Pierce, host of the Visual Lounge, and today we're at Learning Dev Camp talking to some amazing speakers and attendees about all sorts of things around video and all sorts of other fun stuff. And today we're going to be talking about something with Josh Cavalier, who's been on the show. We've talked about AI before. We've talked about video before. We're going to bring those worlds a little bit together. So Josh, before we start, for those who don't know you, quick introduction.
Sure. My name is Josh, and I have been in L&D for 30 years, specifically around media creation. I would say that is my flywheel. But during that time, I spent, as a business owner, I had one of the top Adobe authorized training companies in the United States. And in that capacity, I would go into L&D departments and spend them up on technology. So I spent a lot of time going in and training on Storyline and Captivate and implementing LXPs and LMSs. And so my passion for learning kept me in that space. Even though we were training all kinds of different applications, my love of learning and development kept me close to those customers. And even after that experience, I went back into corporate for 3 years. We'll call that the COVID years. And that was an amazing experience because I worked for a $5 billion supply chain company as an individual contributor. And even in that capacity, got to go in and do really cool things like 360 interactive tour of the new facility, or implementing a training program for analytics tool for frontline sales, implementing Microsoft Teams during COVID, so these big projects got involved in. And then AI shows up. And having been in the space for so long, I knew that this was an inflection point, much in the same way that the personal computer, the internet, the mobile phone was going to change the way that we do things. And so I chased after it and decided to go ahead and make the leap. And that shows up as JoshCavalier.ai. In that capacity, I go in and, again, help L&D teams and spin them up on AI.
Perfect. Well, so we're going to bring our world of media creation and AI together. And one of the things I think there's a lot of barriers. People who are coming into this, they're trying to make videos, or they're trying to start to learn AI. As you said, it's an inflection point. It starts to get to the point where it's like, wow, I don't even know what to do sometimes because there's so much.
That's right.
So how do we get started here, maybe, to start breaking down some of those barriers to make these tools functional for folks?
Yeah, when you work with AI, it's not so much that I want to go ahead and let the tool do all the work, but it's a partnership. And it's within that partnership that you have to find your superpower. Like, what are you really good at? And the reason for that is that within your profession and within your craft, you're going to partner with AI to fit it into your workflow so that when you prompt or you try to create some content or whatever the case may be, even problem solving, you're able to take that output and, as a professional, analyze it and determine, can I use this? Or maybe it's only 50% there, and then I have to do the other 50%. Or, wow, this is really good. It's 90%. I just need to do 10%. But again, you have to understand your craft so that when the response comes back, you can evaluate.
So if you're an instructional designer, or maybe you're a marketer, or whatever role you're in, understand if you're really, what you're saying is like, know what your job is and know what the thing that you're good at.
Yes, exactly. Because I think if you try to use the tool to go beyond what you do, you don't have a sense of that domain, and then whether the content or the results coming back from the model, what kind of quality that is. It's very hard to determine that unless you're working with a subject matter expert or a team member that actually has proficiencies in that area.
Okay, so we're going to pretend that I actually know something about this, right?
All right.
So let's say, I'm a trainer, I'm creating learning content. Maybe I want to create, I've been asked to make a video.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a software tutorial, maybe it's something else inside the organization. I would know about design. I'd know about kind of what makes for a good video, hopefully. But what do I do? Because I think my inclination with AI at this point is I go and I say, write me a script, or do this thing. and it's like it gives me whatever it gives me, and sometimes it's okay.
That's right.
Sometimes it's like I'm like, oh, I can't use that.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, you and I have both been doing video for quite some time, and so when it comes to educational video, there are formulas or structures that just work, that are constants. And if you are not familiar with that, then how do you begin? How do you start? I mean, you could go in and prompt based upon a learning objective or a domain of knowledge, asking the model, create a video script for me. But if you don't have any guidance around it, the model is just going to go ahead and give you what the model gives you. There is no structure. It could be or sound entertaining, but from an instructional standpoint, is it sound? And that could be the issue. Right. So one of the things you could do is go in and ask it, hey, model, whatever, ChatGPT, can you ask me questions about the format of this video script? Is there something that I'm missing? And then after it asks you all those questions, then it writes the script. So what you're doing is you're leaning on the model to be the professional or be the subject matter expert around educational video, and then assist you in going through those questions and coming up with a format or a formula that's going to be way better than if you just went ahead and said, make a video script.
So I love that, right? Because you're offshoring a little bit of the work that you need to do,
right?
To say, like, especially if you're new, like where you have this 30 years of experience, you're going to draw on that naturally. So let's say we do that. We ask it to ask us questions. It goes through a series of questions. It builds kind of the repository of what you're looking for.
Right.
Assuming it hopefully asks you good questions.
Exactly.
Then let's say we've done that, and then what? How do we make sure we're getting still a good script? Because we vet it from answers, but then what?
Exactly. So if you're not the video expert, then you definitely want to find a subject matter expert that can vet that script out. And if you have a successful formula, well, then you want to lean into that, and then you can adjust your prompt properly. So you would actually inject into the next prompt whatever formula or whatever structure, depending upon, again, where in the learning journey is that video. So, you and I both know that, well, if it's performance support, it's going to be a shorter based video. It's going to be jump right into the content. But if we're trying to motivate our audience members or give them some background, it could be a longer format and some lead-ins, then maybe a reflection off the back end and a call to action. And so again, you want to make sure that you are vetting that out. Once you have success, lean into it, add it to the prompt. Again, create the video, get a response back from your audience members. And then if it's successful, then you can continue using it.
Okay, so one of the questions that comes to mind is, like, I love the process. We're going to have it ask questions. We're going to have it do this work based on the kind of what we've set up. Right. We're going to still be experts and look at that stuff. We're going to make sure it's good. That's one, right? That's one video. Right. I might have a backlog of 10 videos. So, but I don't want to go through that process every single time. It feels like almost like, gosh, I'm putting myself in a point of risk, because what if it changes something? I don't get I find my experience with AI is that getting it to do the same thing twice, yes, it doesn't do it. So how can I take that work I've done and then make it so this is a little bit more repeatable, maybe even scalable, so I'm not having to do the same amount of upfront work?
Right. So, getting back to like that original or first prompt when you first start working with it, if you give it less instructions, and let's say you just ask it to go ahead and create an educational video script, well, that's kind of generic. And so you're going to get generic results. And the idea is to go in and create a structured prompt. And a structured prompt is very detailed. You're very precise about the words you use and the structure that is described to the model, so that you're putting guardrails on the outputs, because you're looking for consistency. And it's within that consistency, once let's say you run the prompt like 5 times, 10 times, like, whoa, the structure is exactly the same. Even for a YouTube video, I want to go ahead and do an opening hook, or even if you want to do a cold open, whatever structure you want. If you can see that consistency over and over again, now you can go ahead and capture that prompt and start building in automations to the point where maybe I take a PowerPoint slide or upload a PDF document and then leverage that same prompt to go ahead and create a script from that asset.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Now, I heard you here we're at Learning Dev Camp,
right?
And you used a phrase that I thought was just great. And because we've talked about, and I think we even probably talked about it in one of our previous episodes, prompt engineering. Yeah. And you used the term, you said you don't like that term anymore.
Correct.
And I think that what you're talking about is alluding to this. And what was it? Prompt
design.
Correct. And so why is that, you think, the key here? Because it does sound like that's what we're doing. We're being more thoughtful about the design.
Exactly. So the first issue I have is I think the term engineering excludes people from the conversation out of the gate. In other words, for somebody who's just learning about prompting, to use the term engineer, that could be scary. In other words, it's like, hey, I want you to go ahead and start learning how to program. Well, wait a second, I'm not a programmer. How can I even be an engineer, right? I don't even know if I want to even go in that direction. But designer, I think, is a more inclusive type term that's going to allow more people to find it approachable. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and design a prompt as opposed to engineer a prompt. One sounds extremely technical. The other one sounds like more of a, an art and a science, right? So I want to go ahead and use design to start out with. Now, what's going to end up happening is that as this prompt matures and we design a great prompt, then when we start getting into automations, so to actually automate the process of creating a script, now we're engineering the creation of content to the point where an automation can become an agent. And so an agent is now, it could be semi-autonomous or autonomous to the point to where, depending upon a business condition or some other type of external thing happening, the agent then kicks in and now it's creating scripts on the fly. So you could have a process to where there's some other type of content that's being created. Let's say that I have a team and they're generating some help documents, but yet I want to go ahead and create a video. But once that document hits a folder, then a video script is automatically created by the agent.
Holy cow. The world we're living in.
Right? I know. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
This is going to date me, everyone that's older. It's like living in the Jetsons. Right?
Kind of, yeah.
Well, Josh, so kind of just to wrap things up, are there any other things that you think of in this prompt design kind of process, right?
Yeah.
To help break down these barriers that you would recommend people try to do to get them kind of moving forward?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be about work. For myself personally, I learned more about like prompting and results by going in and working and leaning into my hobby. So I have a control statement that I use, and it's, how do I cook a smoked potato salad? Which it seems like it's kind of odd, but every time I encounter a new model, whether it be, Claude Opus or Gemini Pro 1.5, whatever the case may be, I use the same control prompt, and it's my hobby and it's a love. And so now it's not so much work, but I can go ahead and start working with the model and finding out more about it and how it responds and how to work with it with a passion and thing that I love. And I think that might be a way for folks to kind of like get into it and then maybe do some work stuff.
Well, I am curious, how many different recipes of smoked potato salad have you made from a GPT?
Yeah, so I've got many examples, but I always keep the same recipe. So yes, it's a successful formula. I don't want to rock the boat. My wife loves it, so I'm going to go ahead and keep making it.
Perfect. Well, Josh, if people want to come over for dinner for smoked potato salad, no. If they wanted to connect with you,
right?
Where should they? I know you said your website. Say it again, but where else can they connect?
JoshCavalier.com or JoshCavalier.ai. They can find me there. Also, hook up with me on LinkedIn. Follow me there. I'm always posting about the intersection of artificial intelligence and L&D.
And you do, and I don't know, I don't want to commit to you to anything, but you have a live show that you do.
Yep, I do. So every Friday, 12 noon Eastern, it's called Brain Power. Typically, it's hands-on. Lately, it's been a little bit theoretical about learning and development and how AI shows up. But many of those episodes are hands-on. You get a downloadable document that you can follow along with me, and it's a half hour of just having fun and understanding how AI works.
Definitely go check out that. And Josh, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Matt. It's been great.
You bet.
All
right, everybody. I mean, look, we're at an intersection point of kind of the new technology, and if you're still making videos and you're making these awesome videos, this is a way to just speed some things up. It's also, if you're not sure what to do, let the AI model help you get a little bit better and experiment. I love Josh's advice, right? Just try something. It doesn't have to be a learning video that is for production and like you have to make, but make something, see what it can do, and start thinking about how is it going to make your work better? How is it going to make your work faster? And allow you to do the things that you love and you can focus on. So with that said, we hope you take a little time to level up every single day.